Hello artists, I am going to show you how to create your cardboard animal reliefs, and the first step of doing so is to create a paper template. In class, you will receive a packet of your chosen picture, so I am choosing to do a deer for my example. So the first page of your packet, you will get 5 to 10 pages depending on the quarter. The first page will be completely blank. This is for the background of your entire cardboard project. Remember, you will also be getting 3 pieces of cardboard, 1 for the background and then 2 for your extra details. So whenever you have your packet here, you want to actually separate each of the different layers so that you know how the cardboard is going to stack. So the first piece you're actually going to kind of cut out in color is going to be whatever's in your middle ground besides your animal. So right here I have a huge log in my picture, so that I am going to cut out and actually trace onto the cardboard. Then the next step in orange, as you can see, I like to color code things. Color coding can make it a lot easier for you, is to outline or color code your entire animal. So notice I go around all the legs and around the body and around the head. Okay. If your animal is more of a portrait style, then you will choose to go around the entire head. The next layer is starting to add those additional small details. So since my animal is standing up, you're actually going to have some anatomy with the legs. So these 2 legs are going to stand out compared to the rest of the back body, much like the head. So you can see how I have the head and the 1 ear standing out. This ear is behind the head, so that's why I don't have that highlighted and colored in. Now notice down here where I didn't quite see the feet on my picture, you're going to have to use your imagination and think about anatomy as you're trying to redraw some of those parts of your animal if it's covered up by foliage. Now this is an optional step, okay? But you can choose to add additional layers. Remember, I am looking for a total of 3 to 4 layers. That's going to make things look like it has a pretty high level of depth. So this is another optional leg to add. This is actually the back leg that's behind the deer. So I was thinking that I would cut that out and actually lay it underneath this orange layer so that those are 2 overlapping, okay? And then if you look really close to the picture, you're going to notice how the snout of the deer comes out a little bit further and its eyes are a little bit more protruded. So we're going to actually cut out those little pieces of circles and have them expand out. Now I do have a little note here that look at all this foliage here of the grasses and the flowers. So I would just take scrap pieces of cardboard or even paper, depending on the color of the paper, and you can create those flowers and those layers of grass when we're actually working with the cardboard itself. So this is your paper template, color coding it all to help you understand the different layers. Then your next step would be to cut all of these pieces out. So when you're cutting out all of your different layers, make sure to be very controlled with where you're cutting, because remember, this is what you are going to use to trace on the cardboard. So I'm just cutting out the log. Remember, so that's my first piece. These pieces will become scrap. Now I'm going to cut out the actual deer itself. So remember, it's very important to stay on the lines of your animals so you don't mess up cutting your pieces. And I know some of you are like, well, we're working with cardboard. Why are we cutting paper? There's a method to Mrs. Gearhart's madness. There's a reason behind each of the steps that I do on these projects to help you understand things. Now, as you're cutting out your pieces of paper, you're going to notice some of these pieces might end up getting really tiny. So you will need to especially use the baggie that I give you for this project. And remember, all your scraps that you have, you need to throw away in the trash. Now that I have all my pieces cut out, I can let you see how the layers are going to work. So this is the log in the background. Then you can see how the deer will go right on top, okay? Then you can see how the head will go there. You have your two legs, so this would be this front leg, and this would be this leg. So all the layers end up stacking on top of each other. Now remember, this green layer, I wanted to actually tuck underneath here. So look, I need to actually fix something. I need to cut that leg off. So as you're working on your project, you might notice, oh, that doesn't seem to make sense. Well, that is part of problem solving. And you just need to get those pieces figured out. So there, now you can see how that leg will tuck, and that'll actually look a lot more realistic. So it's gonna look a little weird to start, but remember, we're gonna have all those pieces to put together, okay? I'm missing my one green piece of the eye, but you can see how all the layers end up stacking on top of each other, and we'll do the same thing with the cardboard. So remember, you are getting 3 pieces of cardboard. So choose the thickest piece as your background, okay? So that one we're gonna just put off to the side because we don't need it, okay? And then you're gonna pick your other 2 pieces here. So I'm gonna have, this one has a big bend in it, so that's gonna actually help me when I'm choosing my pieces. Notice when I lay them onto the cardboard, I try to use up all the space, laying it as close to the edge as possible. So I would trace all these pieces onto the cardboard. And remember, you got 3 pieces of cardboard, so then you would trace these pieces onto here as well and cut them out. So here's an example of the deer all traced, and this was my tracer. So you can see how it's going to create a silhouette effect. And what we're going to do is just paint these once it's all glued together. As a little tip when you're tracing, make sure to really hold down your pieces of paper and hold your pencil nice and steady. And remember to lay your pieces of paper for your template down as close to the edges as possible. Now I ended up making that a little bit bigger than what I wanted. It's okay, I can adjust that whenever I am cutting things out. Make sure to really hold it in place so it doesn't move. If it does move, you just might have to retrace some things. And those would be the first couple steps of the project.